In this video, I'd like to tell you everything that we loved and hated about P&O's Western Europe cruise. Let's get into it. The cruise lasted for 7 nights and it was our second cruise on P&O's Iona. The ship stopped at 3 different ports when we took it: Bruges, Hamburg and Rotterdam. I'm going to go through each location, tell you what we did and tell you some tips and tricks that will be useful if you decide to take this cruise. The first port is Bruges, which is not actually Bruges itself. It's a port where the ship stops, where you need to get a coach to Blankenberge. I think that I'm saying that correctly. Once you get a coach from Bruges to Blankenberge, you then get a short train ride to Bruges. So there's a few different ways which you can go about doing that. The first is that you can book everything through P&O's app, which if you've watched my videos before, that's something I don't do. That would have cost us around £20 per person each. What you can do instead is basically just get a free coach, which comes right to Bruges, which are usually every 15 minutes to Blankenberge. When you get there, you can get a train to Bruges, and the trains are very regular. This cost us €10 for 2 people for a return train journey. So the extra money that we saved by not using P&O's app paid for us some nice waffles and Belgian beer, as you'll see on screen now. Bruges is a very beautiful place, and if you're from the UK, the best way to describe it would be if York and Cambridge had a baby, Bruges would be it. Besides the waffles and beer, we didn't really feel the need to purchase anything there. We just walked around and enjoyed the sights, and it was very nice to walk around. When we got back on the ship that day, we witnessed an incredible thunderstorm, so we were really glad that we paid the extra to get the room with the sea view cabin there, so we could get these wonderful shots and enjoy this thunderstorm sitting on our balcony with a cup of tea. The next stop on our tour was Rotterdam, so the itinerary so far was to have 1 night at sea. The second day we went to Bruges, and the day after we pulled up at Rotterdam. Now, when you get off the ship at Rotterdam, then all you have to do is walk across a bridge to get to the main part of the city, where you'll find the main attractions that most people want to do, such as the market, the cube houses. It's all pretty walkable, to be honest. The first attraction that we chose to see in Rotterdam were the cube houses. These are free to walk around and check out. There's a chess set there. There is actually a show home that you can pay to go in, but there was a big queue, so that wasn't really of interest to us. What we decided to do instead was check out the market hall and grab a coffee. The market hall is beautiful to walk around. As you can see from this clip, you can get some beautiful food, drinks, all that kind of stuff, but because we were staying on Iona, we didn't really have the need to purchase any food, so we just stopped for a coffee this time. As I mentioned already, this was the last week of October, so Rotterdam was in full Halloween mode. The next day allowed us 24 hours to explore Rotterdam some more. Our original plan was to go to Amsterdam from Rotterdam, which you can do. As soon as you get off the ship, there's a subway right outside the ship, and you can get on that, go to the central port in Rotterdam, and then take a train to Amsterdam. However, when we got there, we found out that the train was around £35 each for return to go to Amsterdam and come back to Rotterdam, which to us seemed a little bit pricey because it wasn't that far away, and we've heard some mixed reviews about Amsterdam recently, so we decided to explore somewhere else in Rotterdam called Delfshaven. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'll put the name on screen just in case I'm not. There are just 2 simple stops to get to Delfshaven, and it's well worth these 2 stops. So when you embark Iona in Rotterdam, basically go left up the road and you'll see a tube stop there which you go down, and then you basically just take a tube to Rotterdam Central. Now, just a word of warning, you can't actually use your cards like you can on, say, the London Underground or anything like that to get a train, or you can't use your bank cards like you might be able to do in America if you're using their public transport systems. You have to buy a train ticket there, so that was something that might save you a little bit of time because we were getting a little bit frustrated trying to use our cards for the first minute or 2. When you arrive at Rotterdam Central, just get the tram on platform A to Spangen. Once you're on the tram, it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to get to Delfshaven, which is sometimes referred to as the Old Town because there's much more older historic things that you can find in Delfshaven, which is why it's worth the effort going there if you're in Rotterdam. Once we got to Delfshaven, we had a beautiful walk around a canal, some windmills, an old church, accompanied by this lovely cat. Quick tip I'd like to share with you is that on this cruise we didn't actually have to purchase any Wi-Fi on the ship itself whatsoever. We spent many of the days in ports themselves. There were very few sea days, maybe 1 or 2 at the very most, and we could get really good 3, 4, 5G signal from the room which we had no problem whatsoever, so it didn't cost us a penny in terms of the Wi-Fi. The last stop on our trip was Hamburg in Germany. We had beautiful weather this day and we decided to take the shuttle from Iona into Hamburg. This cost around £5 each for a return and took maybe 15-20 minutes to get into the centre. When we arrived in Hamburg, we had a fantastic time walking around, absorbing the local culture and checking out the city. We did intend to go to the miniature world, but it is a very popular attraction, so when we got there we intended to buy the tickets on the day, which unfortunately did not work out because it is a very popular attraction. So I think the earliest tickets we could have got that day would have been around 9 or 10 p.m, but the ship was actually leaving that same day as well, so that wasn't an option for us. So if you are set on doing that, then do book those in advance because they are hard to get in the daytime if you visit in the miniature world on the Iona or any kind of cruise ship. As I previously mentioned, this was our second cruise on Iona. The first one that we did was the Norwegian fjords, so you might be thinking, if you had a choice between the fjords and between the Western Europe tour, which one would you go for? That's a very easy answer for us. The answer would definitely be the Norwegian fjords. They're absolutely beautiful, and if you get a room with a view or a balcony, then they're worth every single penny. Just for some comparison facts and figures for you, the inside cab on the Norwegian fjords cost us around £600 each, whereas the room with the sea view and the balcony for the Western Europe tour cost us around £700 each, and we did really enjoy having the balcony on this one. With it being our first cruise to the Norwegian fjords, we didn't really want to pay for those extras, but if we ever went again, we would definitely pay the extra and get a room with a balcony, especially on the fjord strip, because that's basically a scenic cruise from the minute you set off once you get out of Southampton. Surprisingly, the room with the balcony did not actually have that much more space. It just felt a lot bigger because of all the light and having the balcony itself. But inside the cabin, we didn't really reckon that there was much more space than an inside cabin, if that's something that you're bothered about. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I hope that you found it useful. If you have any more tips to share about this particular cruise, let me know. And if you want more content like this, then please subscribe to this channel for more.